Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies, the surroundings of our North London allotment. You join me here today on what's been an absolutely splendid afternoon, to be honest. Bright blue sky, quite warm, sort of, just over 20 degrees, so absolutely lovely for being up here. A little bit breezy if I'm being picky, but yeah, very nice for working up here and just generally sort of relaxing up here. But while that's all very interesting, I'm sure you didn't tune in to hear about the weather in North London today. You tuned in to hear about whiskey, and what is the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask? Well, we've gone for a special one. It's the Islay Festival this week, the Festival Festival on the famous whiskey island of Islay, and all the distilleries, have their special open days. They release special bottlings to celebrate, and we thought we'd do one of those for today. So what we have actually is for the Ardbeg Day, and it's Ardbeg Heavy Vapours, and this is actually released tomorrow. I'm sitting here 2nd of June, the Friday. Ardbeg Day is tomorrow, the 3rd of June on the Saturday. So it's actually released tomorrow to the sort of wider audience, but I'm very lucky to have a bottle here, so thought I'd review it. It seems the sort of prime time to do it. So what can I tell you about this Ardbeg Heavy Vapours? Well, this was really the result of an experiment of Dr. Bill Lumsden, who's the director of whisky creation at Ardbeg, and a lot of these sort of Ardbeg Day bottlings and limited editions seem to be this now, where Dr. Bill is sort of trying something to push Ardbeg in like a different direction in one way or another. And what this actually is the spirit was distilled with no purifier connected to the still. Now, this is a piece of apparatus that basically gives, well, it does what it says. It purifies the spirit, number one, but it also helps to balance, particularly in a smoky whiskey like Ardbeg, it helps to balance the peat sort of element of the spirit versus the floral and the fruity elements of the spirit. So it allows, within that, it allows heavier alcohol vapours to rise up and then get condensed back. So it's the first time this has ever happened. I'm not quite sure, just from reading all the sort of press stuff, I'm not quite sure if it's by design or whether it was an accident. Again, as some of these things, some of the Ardbeg things and also Glenmorangie things that Dr. Bill Lumsden has done in the past have just been sort of like happy accidents. So I'm not sure about that, but there are two versions. There's this version which goes on general release tomorrow and to a wider audience, be available in the Ardbeg embassies around the world and other retailers as well, as whiskey retailers. And this is bottled at 46%. And then there's a committee edition, which again they do every time for Ardbeg Day, and it's always at cask strength. So the committee edition is 50.2%, so a little bit stronger. And this one, the 46%, as I say, released tomorrow, will be available at the distillery, but also worldwide through Ardbeg embassies and other selected retailers. This 46% one will retail for £120. So I think, probably without further ado, you can see I've not tried this. The bottle's still sealed, so I'm going to open it for you now and see what we've got. There's a moment of trepidation to see if this comes off in one go, and there we are. See, it's off. So yeah, here we go. So leaping out of the glass, the smell of the peat is really quite extraordinary. Yeah, wow. And I have to say, before we start, quite nice sort of graphics sort of on the label here, a sort of wisp of smoke sort of coming around, and the actual box that it comes in I've got as well here. So very nice sort of, telling the story of there's Shorty, the Ardbeg dog, long gone now, but he's remained the sort of logo almost of Ardbeg. So you've got all these sort of smoky sort of vapours, and there's actually what the purifier looks like sort of up there as well. But yeah, lovely, and then the distillery as well. But yeah, lovely packaging. I've seen a little bit of criticism about it from some whiskey people, but I like it. It kind of reflects what Ardbeg are doing with some of these limited releases, being a bit more experimental, a bit more sort of out there, and compared to the core range, which is quite straight in terms of the packaging. But let's have a smell and a taste. As you can see, very, very light indeed. So this has been in the old bourbon casks, and this sort of experiment was done several years ago, but they don't say the exact sort of time or the exact age. So yeah, whoa, wow, it's very intense, very ashy. It's like a sort of like coal sort of dust or ash, but sweet as well. So there's like a sort of malty sort of biscuit, and then there's plenty of golden syrup as well on the nose, but quite peppery. Almost like bonfire-like as well. This ashiness sort of developing. Well, let's have a taste. That's a big whiskey. Wow. Really sort of ashy, intense, as I said. Peppery, this sort of like bonfire, like the dying. The bonfire dies down. You've got the embers kind of sort of burning away, just at the sort of end of their life there. Oh, really forceful actually. But there's also some lovely, underneath there's some lovely sweetness. So you've got that golden syrup that I mentioned on the nose right at the front there, and you've also got some vanilla. It's almost like sort of vanilla toffee or something like that. Maybe a little bit of fudge as well. But yeah, wow, big, bold, intense. I think intense is the word here. Intense in like big capitals with an underline. But let's have another taste. Yeah, it definitely is. It feels a bit heavier, and it might be the power of suggestion from the name and the story, but it does feel a little bit heavier, almost a little bit oilier than sort of regular Ardbegs, so say the 10-year-olds or the Anno or something like that. It does feel a little bit more mouth coating and oily than that. There's now a lovely set of quite savoury notes that support that sort of the smoke and the sort of sweetness. So you've got some drying seaweed. So this is literally as the tide has gone out, the sunlight today is drying out the seaweed, and you get this quite sort of ozony, salty, vegetal sort of notes sort of in the air. There's also a little bit of cocoa powder, and maybe like a bit of something green and herbal in there. It's trying to pinpoint it. Eucalyptus, probably, like eucalyptus or menthol, something like that. But yeah, quite delicious. Yeah, wow, what a treat. And we've got Ardbeg Day, as I say, tomorrow, so we're going to an event here in London. There's events sort of all over the world, from what I understand, so if you're going along to one of those, you'll actually get the chance to sample Ardbeg Heavy Vapours, as well as like some cocktails, and we've been told it's an immersive experience tomorrow, so we'll see what that entails. But yeah, lovely. I would say, if you're a fan of big, peaty, bold, intense whiskies, then this is one definitely for you, and I would search it out. So I think from myself and the Ardbeg Heavy Vapours, we will bid you farewell until the next allotment dram, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Cheers.